right, welcome everybody to episode 27 of the Content Lab podcast. We're finally back after a couple of months off. Eric told me he didn't want to do any episodes, so we just didn't do it. Nah, just
I was
kidding.
upset.
But yeah, we're back. 2023, new year. So of course we had to start the year with a great guest. A lot of you guys have been asking for it, so here it is. Victoria Costello, episode 27. Vic, thank you so much for being
Hello.
here.
Thanks for having me. I'm honored.
Eric
You are a highly
Castaños,
requested guest.
thanks for being the co-host. Let me change your little name thing to your. You know how to change
bro.
it?
Yeah, I don't want people following me, bro.
Okay, whatever. We can
No
change it while
followers.
we're starting. So,
kidding.
just talk a little bit about Vic. She pretty much travels everywhere, doing photography. She does a lot of weddings, fitness stuff, and elopements. Family photos, etc. But let's just get you. Let's hear from you. Let us know. Just tell us a little background about you, when you got started, how you
Yeah.
got started, and all that, and then we'll take it from there.
Yeah. So I was the type of person growing up that always loved to take photos, have photo taken, edit the photos, just anything creative in that sense. I never really saw photography as a job for me. It was just something that I enjoyed doing. I had some different cameras growing up, and when I was in middle school, I feel like I was doing a lot of like editing videos, taking pictures of friends. I think there was this website called Picnic. I don't know if you guys remember that, but you could do like those like tacky edits with like fun words and whatnot.
Yeah.
And then when I got to high school, it was the yearbook committee. I think I took like one photography class. I had like a starter camera, and then I took that into college where I would take photos of friends, my gymnastics team. And then from there, I started at a CrossFit gym. And that's how I got to know you guys too. But at that gym, I would bring my camera just for fun, just because I had it and why not. And from there, I was just taking pictures of people there, getting to know the community in the CrossFit gym. And the owners actually asked me to take their family photos. And I was like, are you sure? Like, I've never done that before. I don't know if you want me to take your photos. But they believed in me, which really got me going with it. And from there, more and more people would ask me to do like engagement photos, things like that. And then I think a little bit after that, I created my Instagram account. And from there, I would post my work. I would tag different like CrossFit brands in the space. And that's how I got to shoot my first games. I tagged Victory Grips in some photos, and they're like, hey, any chance you want to shoot the games for us? So that was my first CrossFit competition experience, was the games. And I was like, okay, I need to like get some lenses. I need to rent some things. And from there, I just kind of was like, okay, I'm here. Like, I don't really know people in this space. I don't know what like the true expectations are, but I just kind of had fun with it. And I feel like that's where I really started to get like my feel for what my personal look was, how I wanted to take photos. And then from there, it was just one thing after the other. And all during that time, I was an 8th grade math teacher, and I was just doing this for fun until it got to the point where I felt like I had 2 full-time jobs and I couldn't really balance it. I was leaving school on Friday, going to a CrossFit semifinal competition, flying back, getting to Boston at like 5 a.m., driving to school to teach on Monday morning. So it just got to be a lot. So it was an easy switch for me to just do this full time.
Yeah, for sure. What year was that you shot your first games?
It was 2019.
Okay, so same year than my first CrossFit Games. I have a feeling.
Oh,
I mean,
okay.
we have a similar background because that's how I got started too. Was just at the gym, and then from there, some people saw me taking photos, and they're like, "Hey, do you take family photos?" I'm like, "No, but I
Yeah,
can
give it
try."
a shot.
No, I think I said yes. I think I said, "Yeah, sure, yes."
Yeah,
And
fake
they
it,
were,
right?
yeah, sure.
Mhm.
And, faking it until you make it. And yeah,
Mhm.
2019 was my first games.
Yeah.
Eric, was that your first games too?
Yeah. It was. I think it was like the first year that they opened it up to
Yeah,
a
to
lot of people,
everybody.
to everybody where you can get in there. Vic, one thing that I think is always interesting, like, and especially now, like, because the space has opened up more and more to like public photographers, and
Yeah.
and it's really you mentioned like, you know, you went out there and you needed lenses and stuff. Like just hearing you talk, like what were some of the biggest challenges being that with your first time at the games, like things that you didn't prepare for, not just technically like with your cameras, but like just shooting on the floor? Because I think like in our community, there's a lot of really good people that are coming, and that's always the biggest thing is like, okay, how do you prepare for the floor? Everybody approaches it differently. You usually are out there for NOBULL, but like, what was like some of your first initial reactions, like challenges when you first got to the floor?
And why you chose Nikon?
And why Nikon?
I knew that was going to come up, right?
Hey, not from me. It's gonna come from him, not from me.
Hey, before you answer that question, just everybody that's listening, remember you can ask questions right there on the live thing, and
That's right.
we'll put them on the screen, and Vic can answer those questions for you. Just letting you guys know. Vic, go ahead.
Cool. So I feel like I was definitely a little naive when I first started. Like I didn't know really what to expect. I was kind of like we said before, like fake it till you make it type thing. I would ask some photographers in the space some questions. Like Meg Ellery is also from Rhode Island, so she was definitely someone I went to a lot. So I asked her like, what do I need type thing. I think the biggest thing I realized in the first games was I don't have access to everywhere. It was like, okay, there's the pit there, but like in the Coliseum, but I'm not allowed there all the time type thing. So you have to get creative. Like, okay, where in the Coliseum do I have access? Where can I get different angles? And just kind of being flexible on the spot for different shots you can take. Also, like little things, like make sure you have like a little fanny pack with like chargers and extra cards and batteries. And then having, I think a new thing too is I feel like in 2019, that was when the hustle started of really posting photos quickly and getting them out there really fast. And having either like an adapter to use from your camera to your phone or being able to use the Wi-Fi features on your camera, I think was a big thing too. Just being ready for that hustle in itself. I feel like I kind of drifted from your question, so feel free to bring me back.
Oh, this is great.
But yeah, I feel like those are the first things to come to mind. I'm trying to think what else.
No, those are all great. And I'm curious because like everybody's experience out there was, you never know. The games is such is like the heavy one compared to, you know, semis. You get a little bit more access. You can move around a little bit more, but then the games is almost like, what do I need? How do I go about it? X, Y, Z. So there's always really interesting. I was just curious because like you are like one of the ones that people always see are most recognizable. And I think it's safe to say like almost even style wise, probably the most mimicked as well. So it's like, I'm always interested. I was just curious about how you go about it. The dongle thing, the adapter was like a game changer.
Right? I know. You got to have that. It helps. I think another thing I was just going to say, just over preparing. Like, I think having more lenses than you think, I think you would only regret not bringing an extra lens type thing. I feel like especially when you're starting, you want to make sure you're getting your best work. So that could mean having some of the best lenses you can, or maybe it doesn't for you, but I feel like that's how I kind of viewed it.
Yeah. Well, just to, and then a little rewind a little bit. I think this part is really interesting because I think there's a lot of photographers in this particular spot, from the transition from when you were working full-time as a teacher to moving to a full-time photographer. It's not when you were talking about it, you brushed over it really fast. So it seemed like it was easy. Yeah. But it seemed like it was an easy transition for you. But I think we all know fair enough that experience can get stressful. And it's like, you know, some people have kids, families, and it's like hard to make the leap. But could you speak a little bit about what that was like when you were trying to, Lily, when you were transitioning from, you know, your full-time job, getting prepared for that, just some insight on what that was like, and then going full-time.
Definitely. I feel like I get a lot of questions about that too. So growing up, I always viewed myself as, okay, I have been a gymnast my whole life. I'm going to coach gymnastics. I'm going to maybe judge gymnastics, and I'm going to be a teacher, maybe at a school that has gymnastics. That's just like my whole view in life, was very focused on the way I grew up. And I think for me, when I really started to become myself was when I started to let go of that and kind of accept that there are other opportunities for me and ones that I might not even expect. Even right now, I love capturing photography. It's truly my passion right now, but I don't know where my life will take me. I could have another passion that pops up, and I don't want to like close myself to that because I have such rigid goals. I think it is important to have those goals, but still being open to other things. So when I kind of let those start to fade away and I moved more towards the photography part is when I really felt like myself. And from there, I just kind of fell into the photography thing as a passion, and I let it take me where it was, one opportunity after the other, building my business as I was teaching math. And I think a big way to do that is have something that you're doing now and still building something else. So I could always go back and be a teacher if this didn't work out, which I think made it a little easier for me to make that transition. So I think it was a total of like 2.5 years where I was teaching and doing photography. And people always told me like, oh, you got to do this full time. You got to do this full time. But I didn't feel like I was truly ready until I actually did it, until it really felt like, okay, this is 100% something I can do, something I feel ready to step into.
And that was
what were some of those?
That was in 2020
Yeah.
that you moved full time.
No, actually, it was like 2021. Yeah, end of 2021
Okay.
school year. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, sorry, I wasn't too much in the convo. I was scrolling through your Instagram. Oh, wait, wrong one. There you go, right there. Trying
We
to
gotta
find
go.
trying to find some old photos from
Yeah.
the 2019 games.
Mm-hmm.
I find it crazy that that was like your first year into it because these photos are like really good.
Thank you. I
Like
know, that was so fun.
even when it comes about like composition and stuff. I mean, this photo, for example, looks like somebody's been doing it for many years. So
I think that's actually an interesting topic too, composition. I feel like I almost think I break rules when I take photos or when I edit. I feel like there are so many strict like photography rules, like rule of thirds and lining up things and whatnot. But I don't think I take a photo with those things in mind. But people point out to me like, hey, you followed that rule very well here, or things like that.
Yeah.
It's definitely not something I think about. I don't know
you
about
just
you
have
guys,
you just have
but
a good eye.
Yeah, it's definitely something that is there. It's probably second, like that is a perfect example of rule of
yeah,
thirds.
you're right.
But it's probably something that's just innate to you, and it's just easy for you, and it's just second nature for you to see it. And I think that's where you get to a level of mastery when it's second nature. You don't have to think about it anymore. You practice it so long that you don't have to think about where this is. You kind of
Yeah,
you can
that's
line
true.
it up in your viewfinder, and you know exactly where it is.
Exactly.
Do you have a moment that you thought like, oh, this is exactly like I was born to do this, like I want to do this full time, or it was kind of just like step by step, just kind of like it happened?
That's a cool question. I almost wish I had that moment, like, ooh,
People
powerful
ask me all the
moment.
time, like, do you have an aha moment? And I kind of
Mhm.
like talk about different things, but for me, it just happened, kind of like you were
Yeah.
saying, it just kind of like I got one job, and then I'm like, oh, that was fun, and then word of mouth, and then got another one, and
Mhm.
then things just escalated like that. But I never had a
Mhm.
moment that I was like, this is it, I'm gonna
Right.
make it, and I love this. I'm gonna do it full time for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
Um,
I definitely agree with you. It was the same for me. It was just one thing after the other. And I think you mentioned this earlier, but I feel like we have a similar path with it too, where we both capture CrossFit, but we also do some weddings, and that's a big part of our business as well.
Yeah, for sure. You posted something pretty crazy the other day. The days that I don't know if it was the days that you worked or the how many shoots you did.
Yes, how many shoots I did in the
Yeah, and it
year.
was like
Mhm.
363. I'm like, okay, so you took 3 days off, 2 days off.
Yeah.
Jesus
I
Christ.
know this year I think I overdid it a bit, but it was a good year.
But I feel like that's
Your
good. Like
Mhm.
you're young and I mean, you're very experienced. Obviously, you're a professional photographer that have done very well. Like you're booked the whole year. but at the same time, like this, like the beginning of your career, right? So you're just getting started, you're young. So I feel like this is the perfect time to like almost like overwork yourself a little bit,
Yeah.
get as much work as you can, like get a good like, you know, head start. And then from there, now you have a good base that you can start like being a little more selective
Mm-hmm.
and more picky about the jobs you're gonna get, and kind of like step back a little bit also to have you know, because like we all want to have a more, how you say, like more social life, more free time that we can do things that we like to do, even though we still like travel and stuff like that. Like we're still working a lot of the time. Like when we're traveling, we're doing some work. So or at least that's how I feel. Like eventually in a couple of years I would like to like step back a little bit and
Mm-hmm.
hopefully have some people that help me out a little more. And I think that's kind of what you're doing too. I saw that you were posting that you're
Mm-hmm.
trying to hire some people.
Yeah, exactly. I think this was definitely a year where I can see just how much I can handle. I know I could have a year like this again, but I'm at a point where I feel pretty drained. And I think my creativity has kind of taken a fall because of that. I feel like I don't have
Mhm.
as much time to be creative. I'm more focused on like kind of getting all those edits out. And not that I am not being creative in doing that, but I feel like I could bring it to the next level. And I'm kind of not being able to do that because of how much work I've been doing. Um, but yeah, I'm definitely at a point where I want to hire people. I'm kind of going back and forth between whether that's hiring people to train how to shoot and go to shoots when I have another shoot or I'm doing something, or if that means hiring editors, more like back end people to kind of manage the business side of things. I think I'm leaning more towards editors just because I like being out there. I like being able to compliment people
Yeah,
as my
yeah.
job, you know, being with the clients, just getting those like pure emotions out of people is something I enjoy doing. So I think having an editor could help with that.
And it's super scary because you're used to your workflow. You know that you do good
Mm-hmm.
work, and then you kind of like giving some of your like the things that you do all the time to somebody else. It's
Yeah.
kind of scary. But I mean,
Mm-hmm.
personally helped me a lot when I hired because I've mentioned in the past to Eric, I have a social media management business here in town that I manage 5 to 6 other businesses, and I do their content creation and stuff. So it's for me, it's hard to keep up with everything because I
Yeah,
also like to be, you
a
know,
lot.
shooting weddings and CrossFit stuff. So but this year, like I think it was like the, maybe April, maybe before, I was okay. This it. I need to hire somebody to help me
Mhm.
out, and I found somebody that it was kind of like I'm gonna see how it goes. Like it might be. I told him it might this might be a 1 month thing,
Yeah.
maybe a 3 month. Like I just want to test it out. It's not like I cannot guarantee that this is gonna be like a long-term thing, and
Mhm.
it's probably one of the best decisions I made last year. I was able to, you know, have more free time and do things that I really wanted to do, a little more traveling, focusing a little more on my, you know, fitness, health, which is super important at the end of the day if you want to, you know, keep doing
Mhm.
this. So me personally helped me a lot, and I think that's moving on. That'll be another goal for this year. Hire somebody else to help me out a little more, and maybe help that person out, and just scaling from there. But in your case, I know many people that they were in a similar spot with the weddings thing,
Mhm.
and then from there they got so busy that started like training people, and then those photographers like going to the weddings instead of them. Obviously, like the couples are aware of this, right? Like, hey, I'm booking, you know, the second part of the month, but it's gonna be my associates that are gonna be doing all the work.
Yeah.
But if you wanna book me, which will be you, it's a different price. And then, I
Mhm.
mean, there are two of the companies that are like locally. I mean, they're kind of like in the outside of the Pensacola area. There are some of the biggest companies that I know. They have like 6, 7 photographers. They're booked every weekend. The main people barely shoot. They shoot like 10 weddings a year, and
Yeah.
they're super exclusive because I mean, it's like, you know, everybody wants to have Victoria Costello as their
Right.
photographer, right?
Right. Mhm.
But at the end of the day, I don't know, Costello photography is still like a very recognized
Yeah. True.
brand in the wedding
Mhm.
industry. So they still want to have, you know, Costello and their thing.
Mhm.
Um, and yeah, I mean, they're doing very, very well.
Yeah,
Because
that's so cool. Mm.
that's a
Yeah.
weird transition, right? Of like, because both you guys have like very distinguished brands, looks, and styles, and it's like the hardest thing is to make sure that that transition goes throughout your
Yep.
team. And
Yeah.
I've always admired that, like people that have big teams and they keep the integrity of their brand the same. And a lot of that too is like, and we're finding that a lot too with our teams too, is like, how do you scale that into where it's the same quality that people know and trust? And it's like, it's interesting. I'm curious on what you guys look for in another people when you're building your teams. It's like, because I have my own experiences, and I almost feel, I'll say this and let you guys go from it, but I almost feel like the ability to be competent and learn is much more important than actual skill level, because people can always, and in good taste, because you can always teach people the skills and the technical skills, but if you don't have the taste and the competency and to figure things out by yourself, then, or figure things out by yourself and honestly work hard, then it's not going to work.
Yeah,
But
no, I agree. Personally, like the person I hired, he doesn't do any of the edits, right? Because it's a completely different area. I mean, it kind of goes together because we still do content creation.
yeah,
But when I was talking about the weddings, like the companies, they do keep a very, very consistent work throughout, which obviously comes with a lot of training because, as you were mentioning, like Vic has a very, very distinctive style, and you too, like Eric, your style, like I see a photo and I know, okay, this is Vic, this is Eric, right? So if somebody hires Eric, they want to have Eric's work. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see how. I mean, I cannot talk for a personal experience, but it'll be cool to have somebody that's gone through that, right? Like training and how you can like let your team know, like, hey, this is the style that we're looking for.
Yeah.
Eric kind of goes through that with HOPO, obviously.
Yeah.
Um, and I did some work for HOPO, and that was like my biggest thing. I didn't want to like drift apart too much from HOPO style. So every time I was doing some edits, I was sending it to Eric, like, hey, what do you think about this? And Eric will give me feedback, like, hey, like a little warmer or less warm, just kind of
yeah,
to match the style.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. I feel like, or I feel that feeling when I work for NOBULL too, because there are times when we have to use that NOBULL look, which is basically the opposite of mine. So
Yeah.
I can almost understand how it'll feel to hire an editor if they say aren't used to my editing style, just kind of like having to be kind of over their shoulder for a little while, have them try to just do it on their own, have them, try and maybe fail, but then kind of working with them to
Yeah.
really make sure it's a consistent look and feel, and even the cropping and there's little editing things that can take time.
For you, Vic, where does a lot of your inspiration and push for the way that you take photos come from? Like, if you think about if somebody were to make like a mood board of Vic, like what are some of the inspirations that you pull without giving away like your preset, because that's, people would pay high money for that. But like, what are some of the things that you think about and inspirations when you're not only composing your images, when your eyes to the viewfinder, but also like when not actually when you're editing your sliders, because I don't want you to give away anything, but because I always believe that people need to figure it out for themselves.
Yeah,
because
definitely.
I always hated that. That was always my biggest thing, and I always felt like an asshole because people were like, "Why don't you just tell people your thing?" It's like, I will, but the thing is, just like I believe people need to figure out why they like things and where it comes from, and deconstruct in order to get like a proper result. Because if you don't know what your inspirations are and why, the biggest thing is film, right? People want to film stuff, but they don't understand how the process of film works. So it's a miss. You watch things, you can see
And
it.
it's also your style is why you like the way you're trying to express yourself through your photography, right? So it's kind of like, why would you try to really, I mean, obviously inspiration's a thing, but I've always liked to have a style that people see and they're like, okay, this is different. It's him.
Yes. It's like a design. It's like, we want, like, I'll say this and then you can get to the question. It's like, you have, it's a big thing in design. It's a big thing. It's a huge part of our process. It's like, well, what do we want it to look and feel like? So then, like, say we have like this, I want a book that was like my grandma's. It was a leather thing, but I wanted to feel like it was dinged up. So it's like, okay, well, let's figure out what leather was it? What kind of conditions was it in? And then that's how you apply those textures. And you're like, oh, this feels like that, because you went through the process of learning how things applied over certain substrates and things like that. So I'm always just curious, like where people's brains are at to get to their final product and some things, inspiration that they like.
Yeah, definitely. I think it takes a lot of trial and error. I think like just like figuring out what kind of photography you like to do. The same goes for finding your editing style. I don't think I really had like, trying to think back now, it's hard to remember it all.
Yeah.
But I feel like I would see photos on Instagram or see photographers as I got into it, where I was like, okay, I like their look. I like this type of feel.
Those are my favorite.
Thank you. That was fun. I feel like I took my family wedding style into the CrossFit space as well. And I feel like that warmth that I have, like these photos we're looking at, I definitely enjoy like hiking, the outdoors. I like that outdoorsy feel. And I think my kind of editing works really well, or works better outside, just because I think it really captures kind of how I am too. I like being in these types of settings. I like adventuring and whatnot. So I think that warmness, and then also just trying to capture that pure emotion out of people, is something I really focused on trying to do. I did a lot of like watching YouTube videos on how people pose their clients, and a lot of just like trying things out was really
These are really good, by the way.
Thank
I'm
you.
looking at them. I see
Thank
them all the
you.
time, but I'm like, wow,
This is what I'm trying to do, is more this type of stuff, elopements or like adventure wedding photos. And another big thing to say is I think it's really important to post what you want to shoot. So I'm trying to post more of that type of content, because then people will know that I do that stuff more.
Yeah, because otherwise people won't inquire about it, right?
Yeah, exactly. Like I could just post my CrossFit work and be like, anyone want family photos? And then they would be like, does she do family photos? Like, what do those look like? You know?
Yeah. You have to show.
Exactly.
I always go back and forth with that, because some people tell me, oh, post your wedding photos on your main account. And I have a weddings account that I haven't posted any of my my like latest content, which I'm slacking on that. But I don't know, maybe this year I'll start posting some of my older stuff and in my main
because then
page.
you can have your two worlds combined. I think it's cool. Like sometimes like
you do that very
couples,
well, and Eric
CrossFit
too.
couples do weddings.
Eric does that very well too. Like he combines his personal life with his like passion, which is all the like graffiti, skateboarding, lifestyle, Yuma,
You're lazy. I don't know about that.
and a very artistic like lifestyle, and his CrossFit work stuff, which is I think it's pretty cool that you can combine that so seamlessly, you know.
Yeah.
Thanks. I have like a little app where I can see what it'll look like on my feed before I post it. Sometimes it's kind of like a little puzzle to figure out what'll look good. So
you just throw it all together.
Yeah.
I got a question for you, because obviously a majority of your work, if not all of it, is all photo. And this is just a curious question. Have you thought about doing video? And if so, like why or why not?
Yeah. I definitely have thought about it. I would love to learn. I would love to get into that. I feel like I could do little like short video clips, but I'm not at a point where I know enough about the editing. Like I would definitely have to go down the route of really learning that. I also, like I said earlier, I feel like I kind of went over the top and hustled it out this year, did way too much. So I didn't have a time to like be creative and learn new things like that, which I obviously want to make time for. And I think that would be one of the things I would want to do more of, would definitely be video.
Yeah, I've had people tell me, oh, dude, like you do both photography and videography, and I only do photography, and I see that now the trend with the reels and stuff, it's more video. And I tell them, like, in reality, like if you consider yourself a photographer and you're really, really good at what you do, you don't also have to be a videographer. You don't also have to, you don't have to design stuff. You don't have to do this and that, right? Like if you like photography, even if I don't know, if the trend is now posting reels, it's a completely different world. Like if you really feel like doing it and you want to learn and you love it and it's a passion of you, like awesome. But don't feel the need that you have to do it just because of of where everything's going. Like photography is still as beautiful as, you know, making a really cool video
Yeah.
or more.
How do you guys feel about all the like the constant evolution of the social platforms and trying to keep up per se? Because looking at both of your guys' platforms, it's like I admire both of the way you guys approach your businesses, because you're more than busy. You have your clientele is through the roof, but you don't fall victim to trying to always make content for social media. You know, there's bottom lines, like, okay, there's reels, there's your posts, there's your slide, like there's the minimum you can do, but minimum is not saying minimum as a negative thing, but like, you know, people get into the nitty gritty of social and fall victim to like, okay, now I have to use like the top song, I have to use this, you know, this, I have to make it this way. It's like, how do you guys feel about your approach to social media and your balance with it?
I'll let you answer first, Vic.
Okay. I think I used to be a lot more focused on, it would be mind blowing for me to do video. I used
Vic
to be a
with a
lot
rig.
more. No, I want the big, like over the head one.
Okay, like Bennett.
Yeah. But I used to be a lot more focused on Instagram, and I think that really helped me grow my business. So I don't think there's anything wrong with being focused on that. If it's truly work you're enjoying and truly work you are proud of yourself for putting out there. But I also feel like sometimes it can be deceiving what people might post. And I don't know where I was going with that. I need to think for a second.
No, you're good. Just because, like, you know, you can always be pulled and tugged by like, oh, Instagram now has like, I mean, think about like how all the social platforms have been meshed together. It's like, okay, now there's reels. It's like, okay, 30-second reels. Okay, a minute reel. Oh, let me use this top song. Let me use this top song for the sake of followers per se. But like, there's that argument between like quality versus quantity, and it's like, you know, just your overall approach to social.
Yeah. I feel like my goal isn't to get followers. It's more so to like keep my business growing. So I feel like I'd rather post about, say, like my mini sessions and try to get my clients that I already have and try to grow more clients that way. And I think I could benefit from posting more reels, and I think all businesses can, but I don't feel like it's currently one of my focuses. I don't know about you, Carlos, but where you were going to add.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. I think what Eric was talking was more that, like, if you, this is what I feel. I feel like, and I saw somebody posted about it the other day, that like if you want a Vic, you could have a lot more followers, right? You have I don't know, 11,000 followers or something like that. But you are actually, what you care is the it's to, you know, show your work to people are potentially going to be your clients. You want to attract more business, right? Which is what which is the end goal, right? Like so there's people that are more worried about, you know, the you know, showing their work in a way that, oh, you know, it might be beneficial for my Instagram following or something. And there's some people that are actually care about like the quality of the work and the, you know, the clients and taking care of their clients and stuff like that. And I forgot who posted the other day about it, but it really made sense to me when he said something like, I don't post too much because I'm taking care of the things that really matter to me, which is my clients, my work, being efficient at what I do. And I just post some of my favorite stuff, but I'm not gonna be worrying about posting every day something new just to let people know, hey, I'm doing this and I'm doing that, right?
Yeah.
But social media is such a strong way to like show your work too, that it's like, you know, you're in the two side of the things. Like, one, you want to post a lot because people are gonna see it and they're gonna be like, oh, look, Vic can do weddings, or some random people are gonna see it and they're gonna be like, oh my god, I don't know who she is, but I love her work, right? So I don't know, I think there's a balance between both.
Yeah, I agree. I think if you truly enjoy posting your work and you enjoy Instagram, like, do it. Awesome. I think that's great. And if it benefits your business while you're doing it, sweet. But I think it can definitely be deceiving when people have like hundreds, thousands of followers and you think like, oh, they're at the top. They are like the ultimate. They are like what I want to do. they have the most business, but that might not necessarily be the case, which I think could be a little, or like could lead some people to feel a little bit down about their work if they don't have that many followers. But I think just knowing where you personally are at and not comparing yourself to the numbers that are there is definitely important too.
Yeah, I'm so glad you said that too, because social media in general, it can be so polarizing with our medium, because what we do is fun. We're very fortunate to be able to do that, and any way that we can keep that spirit alive, I think is important, because it's so easy to worry about shit that doesn't matter, which is things like that, because there is the necessity part where it's just like, yeah, like you get excited about things, you go out, you go do a shoot, you want to show people, that's exciting. But then you start getting pulled about, oh, I need to do X, Y, and Z, because it's like, instead of, I need to post this and this this version of this piece of content, I need to post a 30-second reel, I also need to do this, I need to do this, like the laundry list of shit, because it is a business. But it's like, where is that fine line between the expediency of growing the business and doing it, with nurture?
Yeah.
And it's like, there's really no wrong. I mean, there's no wrong or right way. It's definitely a style wise, but you definitely lose some things in each boat, right?
Definitely.
So,
I think using Instagram is like a way to stay inspired and motivated with your work is awesome. I just wouldn't want to see people feeling like they have to do that because these other people are doing it. Like, I used to post a lot more than I do now, and that's not for any other reason than I just want to make sure I'm putting out work that I really love, or I'm just really busy doing the thing.
Yeah, for sure.
Type thing.
Hey Vic, move your mic up a little bit more. I think it's kind of like
My hair.
I think it might be your hair.
yeah,
It
the
was
hair,
like,
or you just flip that hair.
oh, there you go. That might be better.
There you go.
Sorry to interrupt. But we have here Jonathan. He says, first, hello, been waiting for this podcast to start back up. Thank you. I'm excited too. And he says, would you say an online portfolio or a website is now obsolete, and social media is the new way to go?
This is a great question, actually.
That is good.
Yeah.
I feel like social media is the most important thing to have, but there are definitely people that will go to your bio and click on your website and try to really get a better idea of who the photographer is if you don't necessarily post yourself that much, what kind of shoots you offer, and like your rates and packages, and also a more like concise portfolio on there. And I think it's just really good to have that for people, so they can easily click in and get a good idea of what you offer. I don't know how you guys feel, but
Yeah, I think it's super important. The moment I created my website, when I was doing a lot more weddings, it was a complete game changer. People started like hitting me up a lot more, and I feel like I don't know. I mean, me personally, I don't go to like websites like that. Like, I don't search for websites, but I think it's kind of like a landing page, right? Like, they see your Instagram, and then from there they can search for the website. And I remember when I first launched it, I was getting a lot of people like interested in my wedding services. So I think it's super important. I think you should have both. Obviously, social media is what everybody's using at the moment. Where like everybody's on the phone all the time, so I think it's very important to have a strong portfolio in both. Social media, and have a good website. I personally don't use my website as like a big portfolio, like people can access some photos. My social media is probably my portfolio, but in the website they can find questions that, like as you were saying, like packages, or like your style, like where you're located. And they can also, like, some people can go ahead and start, like, reserve like book dates and stuff like that, or even meetings through the website. So I think it's super important to have both.
Yeah, a little other added piece is most of my inquiries come through my website, so somehow people are getting tracked to go there rather than even sending me a DM. So I think that is like makes you look more professional too, to have a legit website.
Keeps it organized, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, one of the cool things about the website too is this, like, and I feel like it's important to consider like how you want to show light to your images. Like, some people like to do the one or the two, and some people like to show the whole collection. Like, I've been on people's websites where like I enjoy seeing the whole thing in its entirety, and seeing the wides and seeing all of it in its full, and how it was intended to see from the photographer or the videographer. Like, same thing with, like, I just started messing with anamorphic. I hate having to put it on Instagram, but on YouTube you get to see how it's supposed to look and feel, and it's like, no, I want you to go there. So same thing with social. It's like you have a whole collection of images, and it's like, I don't want to put them all. I can't fit it in a 10 slider. I want people to see the whole thing, and then people get to have a range. It's like a pixie set library. It's like, especially with weddings, there's so many little details that's hard to get into just one thing. But it's a fun creative challenge. But
yeah,
websites are great.
At the end of the day, you gotta play the game if you wanna.
You gotta play a little bit.
Yeah,
you gotta play a little bit,
right?
Sure.
Like you gotta post some reels, even if you're like, I think you do that very well, Vic. Like you post some reels too, using your photography, right? Like you take the burst of photos, and I mean, you just gotta play the game to stay on top of everything. And it's kind of like, I don't know how I feel, because as we were saying, like, posting too much instead of like taking care of like your actual clients, but at the same time posting a lot can result on getting clients, getting new business people like looking at your work. So it's kind of like an in between. I don't know how to feel about it.
Well, you know what's interesting, to like, not to cut you off, but I think is fascinating, is like, and I'm starting to find this more and more, because like as we work, we're only getting busier, but like, at what point do you scale and you compromise the quality of what you're doing? Because like, you think about restaurants, like in such, like some of our favorite restaurants, some of the most popular ones, it's like, nope, this is how much seating we have, this is how much food we have, this is what it is, take it or fucking leave it. That's what it is. So you wait in line like everybody else, and it is what it is. And I've always loved that about like restaurants and other creatives too, and even like these specialty like boutique like apparel brands too. It's like, this is what we got, take it or leave it, this is what it is, rather than trying to spread your brand too thin. And there's a threshold, right? It's like, there's a threshold, and I'm always on the side of like of not only our environments, our workflows, and getting the best out of us, rather than trying to scale it to a point or it's global and it's like, holy shit, like for what? Now you lost the whole thing. It's like the whole going corporate thing. It's like, okay, where's the balance of it? And if really considering, is like, okay, is that what you want to do? Do you want to be like a multi-billion-dollar like advertising agency? That's going to be different than what you're doing. Like, granted, brands like Supreme or Off-White, like those take fire, and it's like there's a threshold there with that quality, and it's like things need to accommodate for it, right? Speed needs the resources, and but then you also need the time to creatively think. So it's so interesting to me, like that people's thresholds with that, and like their thoughts on it.
Yeah, that's a cool comparison. I think it even is like setting like, that specific menu of like the type of work that you do, rather than being like, oh, I can do everything, which is something that I think when you're starting out is awesome to do, but really fine tuning what you're good at. Like the restaurant picks what they're good at.
Yeah. As I said, like at the beginning of the podcast, I will say that I can do everything at the beginning. But slowly you realize like you're not that good for some things, or me personally, like I was never somebody that would, like Eric's really good at this, at like headshots and like stuff like that. I personally don't like them. I don't think I'm good at that. I mean, I've done them, and some of them are like, okay, this look good, but it's just not my thing. Like I have a lot of people ask me, hey, can you do my headshots for my new, I don't know, my new real estate page or something like that? And I'm straight, like I'm forward with it. I'm like, hey, listen, if you want them, I can do them, but it's not my thing. I don't feel like super comfortable doing them. I would recommend you going to somebody else, and I'll give them like 2-3 other phone numbers, right? Like if somebody, like family photos is something that I feel like I'm okay at. Like I like them. I think I'm good at them, but it's not something that I'm like searching for like I used to in the past. So now it's kind of like, if somebody asks me, I'll be like, yeah, sure. But it's not something that I'm going to be like seeking constantly. And there are things that I'm like, okay, I really enjoy this, so I'm going to focus more on this and try to do more of the things that I'm passionate about, instead of just going for the money. And at the end, that also improves your quality, because if I start doing a bunch of headshots and I know I'm not good at them, then that's my work's gonna be out there, like, oh, these are the headshots that he's doing,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, I'm the same
and
way. I think it's great to pass it on to other people.
Yeah, and Brian says, I find that there's still a great amount of people that prefer an actual site versus social media to review your work and decide if they want to use you. I agree. I mean, there's uh
Yeah,
everybody has their preferences, but for weddings, I know personally it's helped me a lot.
definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Vic, I have some questions for you. You're somebody that a lot of people look up to, especially women, in sports that are just getting started. I know some people that asked me in the past, hey, you should have Vic. So a lot of people look up to you, and you're one of those that just kind of like got started and you never stopped, and now you've made it to a point that you're one of the the people that they already know, like, okay, who are the best photographers in the sport. That Vic takes a shot is there, right? If somebody's brand new, they're like, hey Vic, I just grabbed my camera for the first time, you're my main inspiration, what would you recommend me? I just got started.
Oh, that's exciting. I would definitely tell them. Are you saying like general advice? You're not.
General advice,
Yeah, yeah.
like things that you went through, challenges, or
Okay.
things that worked for you, and what will be your advice for those that are just getting started?
Yeah, definitely. I think the biggest thing is to just keep doing it. Just keep taking photos, figure out what you like, figure out what you don't like, what works for you, what doesn't, and allow like different opportunities to come your way. I think sometimes, yeah, your dream person or client could come your way, but you also have to create those opportunities for yourself. So that could be posting on social media, that could be reaching out to different brands, that could be like really whatever you find works for you. I think continue to ask questions for people that have gone through it, have those different mentors to go to, keep learning, keep growing. I think a big part of it too is kind of that, in a way, fake it till you make it type thing. I feel like when I was first starting out, I had to do a lot of trial and error, even with like camera settings, to figure out like, okay, I'm outside, like what should my eyes so like, oh, that's, especially with DSLRs, you really had to kind of guess and check for a little bit. But I feel like I'm at a point now where I've just done it enough, which is why I say to just keep doing it, because I'm at a point now where I'm inside. All right, I know ISO should be here, shutter speed should be here, like start with that type thing. And that's not something that I would have necessarily remembered if someone told me that at the time. Like I really just had to do it myself enough. So that is honestly some of my best advice for when you're just starting out.
I love that. It's all about that repetition and never stopping. And if hey, this is what I want to go, like what I want to do, just keep doing it, and eventually, you'll be there.
Yeah.
And when it comes to weddings, somebody that's like, hey Vic, I want to start getting into weddings, or like, how do you find your first clients, your first couple, and how did things get started from there?
How did it work for me? Is that what you're
Yeah.
saying? Yeah.
Yeah. How did it work for
Yeah.
you? And if somebody's asking you, like
Oh, how
somebody
about
like
her?
Morgan right now that we have right
Yeah,
here,
yeah.
that she was one of the ones that requested to have you on the pod. If she's asking you right now, hey, how do I get more involved in weddings? How do you do it?
Yeah. So I think fortunately for me, through connections again, I had the owners of the gym told me that they had a cousin getting married and they asked if I would do it. So for me, it just kind of was something that I had there. But when I knew I had a wedding that I was leading, I reached out to other photographers and asked if I could just go with them to a wedding, shadow them at a wedding. So I could see, first of all, how they go about shooting, what the timeline looks like for the day of a wedding, and just have some content of my own that I can put out there. And it all goes back to the same thing, like post what you shoot so people know that you're doing those things, see if they like relate to your work, if they like your work. And just, I think really shadowing other photographers is definitely an important one too.
I think for weddings that it's super important because you need to follow I tell everybody it's like for me it's already automatic, like I know exactly how the day's gonna go, what's gonna happen. But
Yeah.
it's also like it's almost like you gotta follow a timeline that it's very similar all the time, and you need to know how to interact with a couple at this specific time. So it's
Yep.
almost like you're following step by step the day,
Yeah.
and just shadowing somebody or just second shooting somebody. That's what's gonna like help you learn how to do it. Like that's how I got started too, just second shooting some people in the area. And I was like, yeah, like you can pay me whatever you want. I just
Yeah.
want to be there, learn, and also take some photos so I can get them on my portfolio. And then and till this day, some of the things that I say, some of the ways I like the way I interact with my couples are very similar to what those guys did at the beginning, because that's how I learned. And it's pretty cool. And it also helps a lot with connections. And then once you start getting better and busier, those connections can help. Oh wait,
Isn't it funny
can
how
you
like overwhelming weddings can feel
can
like
you
in the
hear me?
beginning?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh wait, my Siri just popped up.
Oh.
Oh, okay, now I'm back. Siri started talking like I'm here. Anyways,
Yeah.
and just those connections help you so much for future work too.
Oh yeah. And not being afraid to do free work at first too. I don't
Yeah.
think there's anything wrong with doing free work when you're just starting out.
Absolutely.
Just to get that
Especially for
experience.
weddings, nobody's really gonna
Yeah.
try to pay you
Yeah.
too much money if you've never done one.
Yeah.
But I mean, but obviously if somebody can pay you for your time, at least just to be there some help, it's better. But if you really want to get started, I mean, there's nothing wrong to spending a full day with a very experienced photographer and just learning from them.
Yeah.
That's sick.
Oh.
Eric, do you still do weddings?
No, I haven't done one in like 2 years,
Really?
Oh.
which I need to do one again. I have one coming, an important one coming in the next year, so I have to dust off the old cobwebs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It'll be fun.
It'll
It's
come
funny
back.
how like
You're kind of you do like the wedding type feel though. Like you do a lot of detail photography. You capture
Yeah.
emotion. You're good at it.
I agree. I've seen some of
fun.
your wedding work. It's awesome.
Mhm.
Oh,
I have
okay.
like
I was gonna
like
ask
a
you.
year's worth of shit, like a year's worth of weddings that I've never shared. It's like my last year that I never shared. I keep meaning to, but it's like again one of those things that it's like they're just sitting there. They were fun. They were really fun. It's like when it's like that when weddings get much more lax, like where you're not so stressed out by like shit. I gotta be here. I gotta be here. Like you prepare to do what you did, and whatever happens, happens.
Yeah.
They're fun. I do miss them. I would like to do them again, and it's portraits as well. Like not so much like not so much like a graduation per se, but just like cherry picking. Like oh, I like this person's style. I would like to more environmental portraits and stuff. Like that's just shit that I've always really enjoyed because I was big in skating. Is like they would do deep dives into different skaters if they did like woodworking or some sort of craft. They were like, oh, let's learn more about them. Let's go in their world. And I'm like, oh, this is what I really enjoy doing. That's what really got me into it.
Vic, I was gonna ask you. This is something that I struggled with in the past year. Booking weddings, it's gotten really hard for me, not because of people wanting me to be a photographer, but for me to commit to a date.
I know it's hard.
And that's one of the reasons why I've been stepping back a little bit, and I've been taking weddings that are more like last second, like hey, 3, 4, 5 months from now. But when I got started, I was booking weddings year and a half away. But now it's just like I panic when people ask me like, hey, can you shoot a wedding? I don't know, October 12th of 2024. I'm like, like I can't commit. I can't commit to it anymore because I don't want to miss potentially something that I'm really looking forward to shoot, because most of the CrossFit sports stuff, it's almost like last second. Like right now, Eric can give me a call tomorrow and be like, hey, are you available in 2 weeks? I want you to come here. And like that'll be something I would really be interested in doing. But then if I commit to something else, so that's been something I've been struggling lately. And you book so many wedding stuff. How do you like manage that?
Yeah, it's hard because you don't want to miss those things. You don't have like the FOMO, like you said, at a CrossFit event or something. So I try to really plan ahead. Once CrossFit dates are released, for example, I put those in my calendar, even if I don't know for sure I'm shooting them. I'm like, I don't want to potentially have two things where I'm going to feel like conflicted or whatnot. So I try to do that. And then a big lesson I learned this year was I would have weekends where I would have 3 weddings in a weekend. And that was just like way too much. So also making sure I'm not doing that as much. Like just because a day is free in my calendar right now doesn't mean I need to put something there. So that's another thing.
Yep.
I don't have an answer for you though, because I would do the same thing. I would book myself out, but then be worried that something else might come up. But I also feel like it can be flexible. Like stuff with Eric might be like during the week, for example, and a wedding's usually on the weekend. So
yeah,
maybe
I'm missing the semifinals in Florida.
Oh,
I booked a wedding last year. Yeah, it's same weekend.
I know. I think I have a wedding or two during
But
some of them.
at the same time, I'm like, okay, the week after that is in our semifinals, and doing back to back, it kind of sucks.
Dude,
So I'm
last
like,
year
I
was
mean,
exhausting.
the thing that sucks is that my region, it's this one, right? So like if I shoot for Mayhem, for example, it will be the East region. So that's the one I'm gonna be missing. But hopefully I can go to the one the week after, which will be in California, I think.
Okay,
It's only 2, right? It's Orlando and California.
Yeah. Yep,
We're going to Disney, baby.
Dude,
Disney.
I have FOMO already.
World and land. We're already there, dude.
Oh yeah, both.
Dude, we're already there. Where's the California one again?
I think it's in San Diego.
Is it?
No way.
I think so.
That's kind of tight.
I'm glad it's in California.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what are like the changes this year. Obviously, the East region looks a lot more competitive. I feel like if you think about all the Pasadena. What is that? Is that Southern California?
Pasadena.
That's close to you, Eric.
Just closer to me than you guys.
Yeah.
That's just that way.
Yeah. Vic, what's next for you?
Ooh, good question. I have a little bit of downtime this time of year because unlike you in Florida, this time of year is very cold here in Rhode Island. So not as many weddings, not as many people wanting family photos. So I have downtime right now where I want to actually figure out what is next for me. But definitely growing my business and hiring some people and hopefully more like elopement adventure style weddings. I want to go in that direction.
I love it. That'd be awesome. And you're gonna be at Waterpalooza, right, this week?
Yes, can't wait. Some more.
So we're gonna
hopefully we don't get rained out again.
No, the weather looks beautiful.
I know. I've been looking.
Really? What are we talking, guys? What are we talking?
I mean, low 60s, high 75.
Yeah.
So we can wear sweaters.
Yeah.
What day you guys get there?
I get there Wednesday morning.
Me too.
Same.
Oh,
yeah.
Wow, look at that.
Y'all see y'all on baggage claim.
Yeah.
We'll hang out there. Eric, you have anything else for Vic before we cut it? We've been on for 1 hour. When I respect Vic's time.
Yeah, everybody's got to get back to work, but I don't have anything else. That was great. You were definitely one of the most highest requested ones. So
yeah,
I'm honored. I'm honored. I'm glad you guys have me, and I love that you guys do this. I think it's so cool for the listeners, and that you give creatives this opportunity.
Thank you.
Share their story.
We try to get some guests back, so maybe I don't know, leading up to the games, we'll have you again and talk a little more about different things. But thank you so much for for your time and being here, episode 27. I'm excited because it's back. The podcast is back. I was like, I need to do it again. Like we need to get started.
We gotta do our party ones where there's a bunch of people.
Remember that? Have you seen those? Those are fun. Yeah. Big, anything else you wanna add?
No, I think that was great. Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah. Well, everybody that's listening, thank you so much for tuning in. Again, if you watch the episode, you like it, share it with your friends, like it on Instagram, on YouTube, subscribe, do all the above. And if you see Vic at Waterpalooza, make sure you let her know that you listen to the episode and just talk to her about your favorite parts of the episode. But thank you so much, Vic.
Carly's way.
Yeah. Vic, thank you so much for
Yes.
for this, and yeah, I'll see you guys soon on actually 2 days. I'll see you guys in
I'll
2
see you
days.
guys in Miami.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks everybody.
See you there.
Bye.
Bye. I think he's gonna
Oh, what do I do?
end.